welcome to Deucecast Extra, the TV wing of the Deucecast Empire. We are here to, of course, talk about the season finale of Lawman, Bass Reeves, which is a great title. I'm excited to see them continue the Lawman : whatever Lawman they're going to have from now on. Brian, what's up? Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Andrew, I know you couldn't hang out tonight, but thanks for popping in for a second. I, of course, am here with my pal Roth from Wyoming. How's it going, buddy?
Good. You know, it was 60 degrees here today.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about? It's colder here.
I know.
It's like
Well,
in the 20s here.
It's 39 now, so we're still warmer. And I don't
That is
know, just a heat wave. It's supposed to snow on Christmas Eve, though. So I
Yeah, we're
suppose
supposed to
if
have.
you're into that type of thing,
I've never. Well, I take that back. As a kid, because I lived in colder climates as a kid, but in Alabama, that doesn't happen very
yeah,
often. It's supposed to be like in the 60s and rainy. So no, it's not going to be. There's not going to be any snow Christmas here,
yeah.
but that's okay. I'll just live vicariously through you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we're gonna dive in here. I mean, I'm feeling a little under the weather, and I know you might be. So we might not be on as long as we usually are.
If this was a football game, we both would have been questionable.
Yeah, we were like questionable on the bench, but we're doing it. This is the season finale. We got to show
Yeah,
up for it.
yeah.
And it was a good season finale. Now, did you watch it today for the first time?
Yep.
Or?
Just finished it probably half an hour ago.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So,
I
yeah.
really I really liked the choices they made in this episode. Um Hang on one second. My wife is asking me a question. She knows I'm on the air.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I probably, I was falling asleep at the very beginning of it, but that was
Mm,
due to no fault to the episode. That was because one, I was laying down, and two, a little bit under the weather, but
yeah. Yeah.
rallied, and I was like, okay, you got to sit up, chug some water,
That's right.
um, and I was like, okay, here we go. I kind of rewound it, and I think it was a good episode. Like, I think it was about as good as any of the episodes that they've had. Um,
Mhm.
it I mean, this series was never elite, and I don't think any of us ever thought it was gonna be, like, the greatest thing ever, but
Yeah, yeah.
it was good. It was good for a good portion of it. For 7 out of 8 episodes, they were good.
Yeah. I agree with I think that just overall consensus on IMDb. Now, like I said, like, look, I mean, it got some Golden Globe nominations. So,
Mhm,
I mean, critics do like the series. It's not as if critics don't like the series, but I mean, the IMDb's were like in the mid 7.7,
mhm,
7.5. I mean, and I kind of agree with that. I mean, I think the thing for me that propelled the series in general is just knowing how much David Oyelowo was passionate about the series, passionate about
mhm.
telling the story of this lawman that obviously was not a story that a lot of people knew. Obviously, he, being an African American, he was passionate about trying to get this guy's story out there. So
Yeah,
I think that's cool. And the last episode was kind of the culmination of what we were leading up to. Esau was kind of this almost was like the final boss type battle. It felt very like video game in that
yeah,
sense, where you've got Bass and his posse comprised of Dennis Quaid's character and the Native American guy, like going to the compound, like Esau's compound or whatever.
mhm,
So it was almost like it was kind of weird in that way. To me, it felt video gamey in that way,
yeah,
especially like you go to the front gate and you've got to like get rid of your
yep,
guns, and
yep.
it's like all a lot of typical tropes that you see quite often.
It's like a big cut scene almost, and
Yeah,
you don't really get like, you're still moving the character around, but you don't get to, like, do anything until you take your hat off,
right.
and then big climax, and the kinda wrapped up in a little bow at the end, and you're like, "Oh, there were other storylines going on? We don't have to wrap those up."
Yeah, I mean, and they didn't choose to wrap like any other. I mean, they tried to wrap up the storyline, I guess, of this Eden that they were wanting to
Yeah.
create, because in that, I guess, almost close to at least the last fourth of this episode, they have Bass's wife showing up to the church for the meeting, and it's just her and her, sister. I don't know what the relation is.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe they're gonna try and do this push to creating this community that had been talked about or whatever.
But then when Bass comes home, it seems like there's
It,
time passing and they're just
right.
still at the same house.
Yeah, they're still in the same house. So it's kind of weird the way they did that. I did
All that creepy white family kept popping up and then just never heard from again.
never heard from again. I liked that we got to see Shea Wiggum again,
Yeah, brief.
even if it's just flashbacks
Yeah.
or whatever, but it was cool to get to see him. Or was that him sitting? No, that was just the creepy family just sitting staring at her as she rode by in the carriage.
Yes. Yes.
That's so
I'm assuming
weird.
that was the patriarch of that family.
They really didn't do anything with that though. They
No,
just like,
nothing.
yeah, kind of weird.
Nothing at all.
Because it doesn't mean to me, it feels like they could tie this up and they don't need a season 2.
Yeah.
Now, there's talk about there being a season 2, which I think that would manifest itself almost into becoming more of like a case of the week type situation where,
Yeah.
he's going to capture maybe a certain famous criminal each week or whatever. Because we don't have Esau anymore, obviously. The slaves are freed,
Mhm.
so that's a big moment in history. I didn't do the research to know if that actually happened. Some of this stuff, like I said, they're playing fast and loose with the history of this type of thing. Like some of the stuff from a history standpoint did happen, some of it didn't happen. But did Bass Reeves really have a huge involvement in freeing slaves in that manner
Right.
from this guy Esau on this really random plot of land that had dinosaurs everywhere and stuff like that. Um, I did like Barry Pepper a lot in this episode.
Mhm.
I thought they gave him the best stuff, like the best lines. He chewed up every scene that he was in. Um, he was great at being a bad guy. I felt like that if they were going to do a second season, they could have found a way to keep him as the main villain for a second season. I know
Yeah.
that would feel like maybe stretching it out a bit, but man, he's just so good in this role that would have loved to have seen more of him.
Yeah.
Um, but
That some of those final scenes of, like, him and Esau talking before, like,
mhm.
in the dining room, I feel like Esau, very good character, like,
Yeah.
super complex, like, really good dialogue,
Mhm.
and they just kinda played Bass as just stonewalled, like,
Yeah.
nothing to say. I don't know, I feel like that could have been an interesting moment to, like, and, like, that's the type of stuff that could have made this series, like, closer to that elite tier than just the
Right.
mid to good tier, like, eh, have some philosophical debate there.
Yeah. I feel like from the beginning of the series, they made a choice with that character. Like
Mhm,
David Oyelowo made a choice with this is how I'm gonna play Bass Reeves, and I'm not gonna really stray from that at all,
mhm,
despite like crazy things happening around him, crazy things happening to him. He pretty much played it even keel
mhm,
through most of the series, other than a few moments of just life crisis type stuff
mhm,
where he just got even more angry though.
mhm,
And so from a characterization standpoint, he sort of went more within himself where he was quiet and brooding, and it wasn't really a situation where there was a lot of dialogue with that character.
yeah,
There was a couple of good scenes. I mean, with him obviously, but when you're in and I think this is not just a Bass Reeves problem. This is not just a Lawman Bass Reeves problem. I think that often the villain does become a more interesting character than
mhm,
the hero. I
yeah,
mean, it's pretty standard. I mean, it happens, and when you've got a guy like Barry Pepper who's just a good character actor, who people forget about, and then they
mhm,
see him in something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that Barry Pepper is like he brings it every time he's
yep,
on
yep,
camera." He doesn't really seem like he's the type of guy that wants to just phone stuff in.
no,
He wants people to remember him as an actor, and so he does interesting things with the dialogue he's given. he's got, monologues and stuff that he throws out and just really nefarious things that he says.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's just the nature of the villain hero thing sometimes. And
Yeah.
in this case, it's just a bit more glaring because Bass Reeves is so even keeled and sort of low key through a lot of the series.
Yeah, and, like, I like that from Bass for most of it, like, it makes sense character-wise, it kinda makes sense with, like, the vibe of the show, but, like, I don't know, when you have the opportunity to put, like they did a really good job of painting Esau as very evil, and I think they've done a
Yeah,
pretty good job of putting Bass Reeves with, like, a bunch of, um, righteous justice behind
yeah,
the character, and, like, that's where his, like, morality stands, and like, overall, only maybe once or twice he, like, makes the wrong moral decision, and maybe just once, maybe shooting the guy, um, after the grandma lady escaped, like,
right. I,
so there's your opportunity to be like, "Okay, let's have this, like, really good moral person and this really evil person. We've
right,
got them in a room. Let's have them discuss issues." And
right.
they're just like, we'll have one of them discuss issues, and the other guy will be like, "I don't know."
Yeah, I mean, so the one scene that sort of stands out to me that they could have used as an opportunity for Bass to maybe at least show the audience what that character believes in.
Mhm.
When Esau is talking about morality and he brings up God
That's what I was thinking too.
And Bass
Mhm.
just sort of is just like, well, there's no God right now or whatever. He says something weird.
God's real far from me.
Yeah, God's real far from me. And I was surprised at that because it seemed as if in the beginning part of the season that maybe there was some relationship that he had with God
Mhm.
and they were sort of painting that picture. But sure, stuff went really bad for him for a while. And he's let that affect him. And so from a character standpoint, I mean, I get maybe why he's in
I
a valley right
Yeah.
now,
I feel like they
but
needed to do a better job of showing him entering that valley. Like, they
yeah,
showed the stuff happening to him, but his reaction was still just, like, stonewalled, grumble, grumble, grumble,
yeah,
shoot, 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 go home, leave again.
yeah. Um I thought I mean, we've been doing full spoilers the whole series, so I mean, I'm full spoilers here for sure, but I thought it was again an interesting storytelling choice to have him go so hard on killing Esau and like shooting him in the head at the end. Like I thought
Yeah.
maybe he could have tried to bring him in to for justice purposes. And, sure, maybe he was mortally wounded already. I don't know. We don't really know as a viewer. And so obviously we see the next step is Bass shoots him in the head. Well, I was thinking to myself, okay, well let's show maybe that there is some righteous indignation in Bass that would lead him to maybe not shoot the guy in the
Mhm.
head, maybe try and bring him in for justice, for a trial, for prison,
Yeah.
let the court decide if he's going to be hanged or not. But I mean, we'd gotten to that point where Bass was just mowing people down
Yeah.
without any thought whatsoever. And I didn't feel like that was something that he did at the beginning of the season. I mean, I think that got worse and worse where he just was just like killing indiscriminately, like
Yeah.
no thought behind it at all. He
Yeah.
almost became like a vigilante in a way. Like the old west version of Punisher,
Yeah.
basically.
They kinda lay that out for us at the beginning, right? When he was talking to that little black boy, and it's like, "Are
Yeah.
you an outlaw, or are you a lawman or an outlaw?" And the guy said, or Bass said, "A little bit of both,"
Yeah, at the
something
beginning of
like
the
that.
episode.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
and I think
I,
there is also something to the fact that he didn't have jurisdiction in Texas. I think they
right.
kind of alluded to it. I don't remember I don't know my jurisdiction history of
Yeah.
the Old West very well, but I think they alluded to something like that. So I guess that, yeah, could be why he
Yeah.
didn't wanna bring him
I mean,
back
I guess
is, yeah.
I just thought it would have been a unique choice
No,
from a
for sure. For
storytelling
sure.
standpoint to not
Probably more
have him
interesting.
go so far.
We
I
could have
mean,
seen Donald Sutherland again.
Yeah, we could have seen Donald Sutherland again. Speaking of just cool actors being in this, Dennis Quaid got a little bit more to do in this particular episode.
Mhm.
We unfortunately see that he's a brutal racist, but I mean, he just, but maybe that's just the way that that type of guy was back then. I don't
Mhm.
know. Mostly, it was interesting though. Mostly racist towards the Native American, though, not
Mhm.
so much Bass.
Yeah.
So he was definitely he felt that he was superior to that Billy Crow,
Yeah.
but we never really saw him say anything like that to Bass, which was interesting. I guess that was just at that time the Native Americans were maybe thought of as the lowest by
The time
certain
and
groups of
in the
people,
area. I think the
and then
area, I mean, they're in, like, the Oklahoma-ish area, right? So,
right,
that makes sense that they'd be like, th there's probably not that many African American people, black people in, like, the Oklahoma territories at this point. It's probably dominantly natives.
yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, because isn't that where Killers of the Flower Moon takes place? This is
yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, like,
Now, of
40
course, that's
years
like
later.
1920s, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but I mean, still,
yeah.
but they,
60.
it's interesting. You can sort of follow the timeline of what
Mhm.
happens to them. They're given a lot of land, obviously, and
Yeah.
become very wealthy from oil in Oklahoma. So that's interesting that you can sort of follow that. Um, I I think in this episode more than any other, they used the score a lot more in this episode than maybe previous episodes. So much so to the point at the end of the episode where a little meta, but we have Bass's wife playing the score on the
Mhm.
piano.
Yep, yep.
I thought that was a little weird, but
And hand up, very wrong. I thought his daughter, like, fled from home. Nope, she just wrote a song and put it on the piano.
yeah. Yeah, she wrote a
Yep.
song and put it on the piano.
I thought that was, like, a goodbye note.
Yeah, well, no, she did run away though.
No,
Oh, I thought she had.
no, that was her sick.
Oh, she was just sick the whole time.
That
Okay.
last episode, she was sick for the
Yeah,
entirety
yeah,
of it. But she never ran away. She just
yeah.
wrote a song and put it on the piano, making it, and I thought it was a goodbye
Oh, a
note.
goodbye note. Well, it's okay. I mean, we didn't hear the lyrics to that song
No.
performed, but we did hear the score be part of the episode in a very meta way. I l- I often don't like montages like that at the
Mhm.
end, but for some reason it worked over the playing of the piano,
Mhm.
where we go back and we kind of see like all the people that Bass has come in contact with, characters and whatnot. So it worked for me. It was surprising that they chose to do it, but it kind of worked for me a little
Yeah.
bit. So I mean, overall, I really think this was a good series. If they chose to do a second season, it would be fine with me.
Mhm.
I don't know that, they will. From what I understand, the reason they ended up calling it Lawman is because so they could potentially do other lawmen.
Mhm.
Um, you know, Taylor Sheridan is not one to ever leave money on the table.
No.
So if he can find a way to spin off one of his series, he will. Um, but I don't know. I think I would like to see David Oyelowo play this character now, because now that he's been through all this, been through what seemingly is a really rough time, he's come out on the other side of it.
Mhm.
He's back with his family. Now it would be more interesting to see him, Donald Sutherland's character or somebody come to him and say, "Hey, we've got this criminal that we really need some help with."
Mhm.
And he could even team up with that other black lawman that's around. That was a
Deputy
real
US Marshal Ike Rogers.
yeah, Ike Rogers, the real guy we found out.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas Dennis Quaid's character was not a real guy,
Correct.
maybe an amalgamation
Yep. Yep.
of people that Bass maybe worked with at some point. Did we ever talk about if Billy Crow was a real person? I don't think we
I
ever.
believe so, and I don't think he was.
He was not. Okay. Mm.
No. Yeah, and Esau also not a real person, but the
Right.
Reeves family, they were.
Yeah, yeah. So he had 4 kids, I guess. Um, 3 daughters, 1 son, it looked like, I think, is what that final number was.
Oh, Reeves.
Yeah, Bass Reeves.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I meant the George Reeves, Shea Wiggum's
Oh,
character.
Shea Wiggum's character,
Yes,
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 which that's why Bass has his last name because
yes,
he took it from
yes.
his slave master.
Yep.
Um,
I didn't even think of that. Yes, I was just reading it off of the IMDb cast list, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is Bass Reeves' show." Yes, the
so
George Shea Wiggum character.
Shea Wiggum's wife. Let's talk
Mhm.
about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, why do you think they chose to have her come back in that manner after she had been gone for so long? She shows up randomly on the porch. Like there wasn't really any foreshadowing to that scene coming at all. It
No, you
just
know
sort
who
of,
that character should have been? That should have been the creepy family's mom. That shouldn't
yeah,
have been
well,
her. That's who I thought it was gonna be.
yeah, exactly. It was just sort of strange that she came back
And
after all
was
that.
like, "Hey,
It was
my
weird.
husband's trying to pass legislature to make you guys slaves again, and we'd own you again, and you can move back home."
I mean, I think clearly the reason to have that encounter is to show Bass's wife slap her and
Yeah.
get all worked up and whatnot. But it was just sort of out of the blue for me.
It
Like
was
I didn't
very out
really,
of the blue. I mean, here's my issue with it, is there's no consequences from any of that
yeah,
because they don't wrap anything up, and it happens at the very end. Have that happen in episode 5 or 6, or heck, even last week with that dud of an episode, have that
yeah,
happen then, and I'm much more likely to, and then, like, have something happen where there's a consequence to her slapping this person
yeah. They could
of
have
some
like,
sorts.
gosh, that last episode, which was only 32 minutes long,
Mhm.
they could have had one scene showing her sitting at like a saloon or something, just to have that character back in our
Mhm.
minds, and then in preparation for the finale, she shows up on the porch. Um, I would have been okay with that, but
Mhm.
this just felt really strange.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I was glad we got to see flashbacks of Shea Wiggum again, but I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know. It was just it's just sort of weird. Um, but I guess what they were trying to do, because Bass's wife had been sort of hesitant on the whole New Eden thing. So maybe they were using that scene as the catalyst to get her to be more interested in it. But again, they never closed that loop really.
Right.
So interesting storytelling device there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, from that standpoint, it's kind of strange, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, Garrison, yeah, we're running out of steam here. So if whenever you're
What?
ready to hop on,
No way.
go ahead. Whenever you're ready to hop on. Well, I mean, I don't know what's
No,
much
you're right.
more. No,
You're exactly right. I had the same thought. Like, okay, where's Garrison?
but I think like look overall, I enjoyed the series. I'll be honest, like there has not been a Taylor Sheridan show that I haven't enjoyed in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
Now Rhett did not like 1923. He just thought that, and there was things in that series that I didn't like,
Yeah.
but so much so that it caused him not to watch Bass Reeves, and the same with Dr. Earl. I think Dr. Earl was more just time. He just didn't want to spend the time to watch Bass Reeves. But I think like with Taylor Sheridan now, he's got so many shows coming out, presumably, that it's gonna be a case of he better not stretch himself too thin. Like, Kevin Feige seemingly has stretched himself a bit too thin with the MCU and all that stuff. So the quality has dropped a bit. So if Taylor has all these ideas of spin-offs and different series and whatnot, he's got to be careful not to go too far on that, because um the quality could start to wane on the Taylor Sheridan verse,
Yeah.
just as it has on the Feige verse, in certain areas. Um, so Jacob, any final words about Bass Reeves before we jump into just a short segment, since you and I are not feeling great?
um, Barry Pepper, the absolute standout in this. It
Yes,
was fun to get to see Dennis Quaid, fun to get to see Donald Sutherland, Shea Wiggum with a couple of great cameo
always good,
appearances.
always good.
Um, and I'm happy that this was a passion project for David Oyelowo.
Yes,
Um, I think even though the character's development and the way the character was played wasn't my favorite, I still think he did a good job and was a seemingly good representation of Lawman Bass Reeves.
Yeah. I mean, big things to come in David Oyelowo's career. Obviously, we had while the series was running because of the success, he obviously got a couple of Golden Globe nominations, got that new deal with Apple TV Plus. He and his wife's production company. So I think that this was just more proof to me that every time I see him in any project, he's great. Like
Mhm.
I think he's a great actor.
Yep.
There was parts in this finale episode that led me to believe that I would love to see him in an MCU project or
How
something.
about the new Kang?
Well, I don't think any actor wants to touch that role.
No, I don't either.
But we'll see what happens with all of that. But as you can see, we have got Garrison joining us for what I will call the precursor to our Percy Jackson watch through that we're doing. In fact, Disney Plus surprised me, at least. I didn't see them advertise that they were dropping the episodes already.
I didn't either. I just followed a Twitter account that was like, yeah, they're out.
So yeah, so okay. They just went ahead and dropped them the night before they were supposed to premiere. Did you get to watch both of them or just one?
I just watched the pilot.
Just the pilot. Okay. So gosh, I mean, I don't want to, Jacob and I haven't had a chance to watch it, so no spoilers, but I did want Garrison to come on and maybe do like an overview because you just reread the first book, right?
Yep.
However you think best without spoiling anything, give us like an overview from especially me as somebody who has no background whatsoever with the character and apparently Jacob. I thought Jacob you said your brother was very into him. So Jacob and I,
my brother, and I can just
yeah, no. Yeah, no, both Jacob and myself not really familiar with much of the series. So just lay it out for us a little bit, like what happened, what's like the premise of this whole thing?
Well, it's a story of a kid who's a demigod, and the demigod is a half god, half human.
Yeah.
Born to a mortal mother, but his father's a god. I don't want to reveal who the father is. I don't think it's that big a spoiler, but it's kind of a plot point in the book that I didn't realize it took a little bit of the book to be like, oh, that's who my dad is. And look, I've reread the first book. There's a big quest that he goes on in the book. There's a larger story overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the important thing to remember is that this is a story of it's kind of a hero's journey in a sense type of story. You've got a group of kids that I think are kind of similar to another trio you've seen in other fantasy films, kind of like Harry Potter. You got a trio of kids. Grover, Annabeth, and Percy are kind of your trio in this series. 2 boys and 1 girl, just like Harry Potter as well. And
I would like to note I resisted the urge to do the Grover voice.
Now I kind of want to hear you do it.
No, you don't, because I don't think I have it.
Yeah.
There are look. Information flies at you fast in these books, and from watching the pilot, it feels like they kind of kept a similar tempo with the show, which I kind of enjoyed. Yeah. But I went, I wonder how audiences will take that and receive all the information that's being thrown at them. There's a lot of exposition that happens in the beginning, but you've got to kind of be acclimated to this world, which is that this is a world where the Greek gods really do exist, and Greek god monsters really exist, but people around them can't see these things. So the people who are demigods can see, and gods can see everything. But the normal humans can't see the monsters or threats around them, and largely because the monsters aren't after them either. They're usually after demigods. So,
so question, just from the person who's never read the book, haven't seen the movies either. Does Percy know he's a demigod going in?
No.
Okay, so does it take place in like a high school or something, like on Earth?
It starts out he's in boarding school. That doesn't last very long because he's immediately attacked by a monster. That's not a huge spoiler.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's kind of his
monsters are
introduction into like, oh, I've always thought I was kind of different.
Yeah.
But now I realize that, oh, I have like
He's got a high
lineage to a
midichlorian
god.
count.
I have powers that I didn't realize I had,
Gotcha.
And it makes sense as to why he's dyslexic. You'll see that in the first episode. They don't say it, but you can see him looking at letters and it's swapping all around. Well, there's an explanation for that eventually comes up.
Okay.
But everything that's kind of put in this world, there's usually an answer for it. I'll say that.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's
so
cool.
he's reading and he's like, man, this is just all Greek to me.
Correct. You're maybe wait for the explanation.
Okay.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. No, I'm excited about it. I just wanted you to come on for a second and get us all hyped for it because, I mean, the comparison to Harry Potter is good. That gives me,
unlike
just from a characterization standpoint, I guess.
So unlike a school, in Percy Jackson, you've got Camp Half-Blood, where the half-bloods or demigods, whichever term you want to use. Half-Blood was originated for this series. They go there for the summer to get away and train to kind of become warriors or figure out what their role in life is going to be. It's also a way for them to get away from the world because monsters try to hunt down demigods, and the more powerful you are, the more monsters try to come and hunt you down. And some people have to stay there year round at this camp because if they don't, they'll get attacked or their family members will be in danger. It's some really interesting world building that happens there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it just because, well, first and foremost, coming in blind, like the reviews have been great. So critics have liked the series, which, gosh, I mean, has been so hit or miss with a Disney Plus series lately that, I mean, you just don't know. A show that I was excited for before it came out was Willow, and it ended up stinking bad. And so, and it, we've talked about the Star Wars series and the MCU series, obviously.
Is Willow off Disney Plus now?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
They took it completely off.
Like everybody just forgets this happened.
Terrible time.
All 8 of you that watch this.
Yeah, I mean, craziness in all honesty, but
I think it was probably garbage, but what a terrible time for art. We have such access to so much art with streaming services, and now we're just taking things off forever. I don't blame people who pirate things, honestly, at this point.
Right.
If you want to preserve some of these shows because you're afraid they might not be around, I don't blame you. Especially if you're paying for it as well,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen to any other shows, but we know, I mean, it will.
I mean, tax write-offs will happen.
And tax write-offs will happen, but luckily it looks like Percy Jackson is going to be good. First episode, you liked it, you dug it, you thought the pacing was good and everything.
I enjoyed it. I'm looking at it through the lens of how does this match up with what I literally just read?
Yeah, literally just reread the book. Yeah.
So there's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. That's like word for word, and then there's like, oh, that's different.
Okay.
Like, does it jive well? I'm still kind of in that space where I did enjoy it, but there are some choices where I'm like, was that better? I don't know.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Well, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, basically, we're going to be doing Percy Jackson and What If concurrently for a little bit. I mean, what if they're dropping that in a very interesting way where one episode per day, I think, starting tomorrow?
22nd?
Oh, the 22nd. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So starting the 22nd. So I think what I figure we will probably do, if it works out, is maybe the first 5 episodes on the 26th. And I'm saying that knowing that 5th episode drops on the 26th. If it doesn't work out, it's fine. We'll do like however many episodes everybody has watched, we'll do that. I'm not like totally concerned about doing What If in sticking with the release schedule or whatever. We can stretch it out if we want to, but the first 2 episodes of Percy Jackson are live right now. So if you want to follow along with Percy Jackson with us, we'll do the first 2-episode recap on the 26th. So the day after Christmas, we will do
And
those
that
first 2
is the
episodes.
name of the first episode.
I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher.
I love that title. That's awesome. Well, cool. Cool.
Yeah, the series has got great titles for chapters.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So this, if you're watching this live, this is your crew for Percy Jackson. We may have some join for What If. I don't know. Rhett doesn't watch cartoons, so I don't think Rhett is going to be joining us. But Earl, I know, loves the What If series. So hopefully Dr. Earl will join us for at least the What If stuff.
Dr. Earl, I know you're watching this right now.
He will.
So you should just watch Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
He should.
Yeah.
He should if he has the time.
You're going to learn a lot about Greek mythology if it goes how the books go.
Which I'm excited about. It's been a minute since I've looked into that stuff.
There used to be,
when I was a kid, basically,
this big orange book that I would switch between that one and it was a historical fiction book about Abraham Lincoln that I would switch between checking out of the library. I knew that. Yeah, I'd switch between those two and just read them cover to cover every time I get a new book or go to the library to turn a book in.
This is the name of the second episode.
Welcome, Supreme Lord
I
of the Bathroom. Become Supreme Lord of the Bathroom. I love that. That's so awesome. That's great. Well, appreciate everybody that watched us for the Bass Reeves stuff. Look, if there's a season 2 of Bass Reeves, we'll probably do it. Honestly, with the Yellowstone stuff, not that Bass Reeves was technically Yellowstone, as long as it's like not too much, and during an MCU show or a Star Wars show and it's not too much, we'll keep doing those. I mean, I don't have any problem doing those. I don't think we're getting a Yellowstone verse show until November of next year, though. I don't think anything's unless there's some surprise show that drops between now and November. Maybe that 4-6's Ranch show that had been rumored forever.
That thing's never happening.
Maybe that's never going to happen, though. I mean, who knows?
I just realized there's a better way to. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Lightning Thief.
Yeah.
The title.
Yeah.
I never really explained that.
Yeah.
That's a massive spoiler.
Okay.
Someone steals Zeus's lightning bolt.
Oh, okay.
And that's the quest.
That's the mystery. That's the quest that Percy goes on to recover that and be in Zeus's good graces because Zeus thinks Percy did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool premise, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. As long as Thor, as long as Zeus is not Russell Crowe.
I want them to CGI Rip Torn.
Zeus is the dead guy from John Wick. The Bell.
Yeah, Lance. So this is his last, technically.
I think
his last work. Then. Well, I mean, I don't know when this filmed as opposed to when John Wick filmed, but Lance Reddick is Zeus. Okay,
that's pretty sure
he'd be good. I like Lance Reddick a lot. Rest in peace for sure.
It's not what I would have thought of, but I love his. Yeah, he's got a great voice too.
He's got a good demeanor. Like I think he could work as Zeus for sure. So that's something to definitely look forward to. Well, cool. Well, Roth, what's coming up next for a Good Day for a Movie podcast?
Yep. Good Day for a Movie podcast. Our last episode was on The Boy and the Heron, Hayao Miyazaki's latest release. Mixed reviews a little bit on that one. I say Miyazaki movies are like a cup of soup and just nice and comforting. Maybe not the greatest thing in the world sometimes like this one, but still nice and comforting and a fun little watch. Our next episode, though, is the Christmas special. We are reviewing Fred Claus. I'm sorry it was not Ernest. Ernest did make its way on the wheel. But
look, I heard the episode. I mean, the disparaging of Ernest was frankly insulting, but that's okay.
Is this Ernest?
But was it
Christmas?
Wrong?
Yeah, Ernest.
But was it inaccurate?
I think it was wrong.
I think you can
Ernest
see my letterbox score for that film to
Ernest
know
Saves
my opinion.
Christmas is a heartfelt, wonderful story. No, I get it. I might be the only one that likes Ernest Saves Christmas.
I think it's a better film without Ernest.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you, sir?
And then we're actually going to be taking a week off, an actual planned week off. Because the next Monday is the 1st of January, and recording is just not going to happen. But the one after the Christmas special, I've already made my pick. It is The Mummy.
Wait, which one?
Brendan Fraser.
Okay, good. I mean, because there's like 3 of them. So, well, there's probably there's 3 movies called The Mummy. I think there could be more than 3.
Yep. And the reason for that is because Rachel Weisz was in Fred Claus, and I was like, "Wow, I've loved her since The Mummy." And then it just couldn't leave my brain. I was like, "I've got to watch The Mummy. That's my next pick." Therefore, I ordered the trilogy on 4K.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I've got the trilogy on Blu-ray, so it's not one I think I'll upgrade, but I love that trilogy. I mean, it's good. Even the 3rd one, which is derided, is fun because Jet Li's in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes it more fun.
Those 3 movies were a big part of my childhood. I watched those a lot, like almost as much as Indiana Jones.
Oh, I can't say the same, but they're still fun. I mean, they're still fun movies for sure. I mean, they're very in that realm, anyways. I did not watch any of the spin-offs like the Scorpion King because there's like 8 of those, I think.
I
may have watched the first one that had The Rock in it, but I
may have too, but I don't really remember it.
I don't know. Garrison, where can people find you on the interweb? Oh, wait, did you say your stuff yet, Roth?
Oh, no,
Sorry,
I guess
my
not.
brain's
Roth from Wyoming.
right
That's
now.
all right. I've still got 4 days to take off of work or I lose them as PTO. So I'm going to do my best on Thursday to watch a bunch of 2023 movies. So you can find me Roth from Wyoming on Letterboxd as well as the other socials.
Awesome. And Garrison.
You could find me on Twitter at Gryphon3, GRYFUN3, and on Instagram you can find me at Letterboxd at Gryphon, where I started logging a bit more. I actually think I'm going to rewatch the first Percy Jackson movie to just kind of compare adaptations, and also watch the second one because I never watched that one, and it's my least favorite book of the series. There are important implications that happen in it. Some things that'll be discussed in this season, I'm sure, will go on to, be relevant in that season. I just want to point out, I bought this book in like 2006 or something. Miramax Books. Does that even exist anymore? Doubtful. I know Disney owns this company, Hyperion, now. So
well, awesome. Excited about Percy Jackson. Bass Reeves was good. I mean, enjoyed watching it. I can be
Is that over?
It is over. Yeah.
Wow.
I can be found at @TheMichaelNip on Twitter. We will, of course, be back next Tuesday to talk Percy Jackson, and as many What If episodes as we choose to talk about, we will talk about as well. Tomorrow, though, for the Deucecast movie show, one Garrison Reifin joins us for our Christmas gifts episode, and it is a fun one. It's our annual tradition where we give gifts to Hollywood, much needed gifts, like to help Hollywood out. So we have a lot of fun on that. There is a game that is played that no, wait, did we not play a game? I don't think we played a game, did we?
We played a game. It was awful. Mikey scored every point. I'm ruining that.
Oh, yeah. That's a great game. That's why I liked it so much. I love that game that we played. It was the mashup one. Yeah, it's fun.
No, I like that game. I feel like there's a variation of that works a little better, but Dave will get it down.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. Yeah, his process was a little. You won't get to hear much of the process in the edit. It will be edited.
I hope not.
Yeah, it will be edited.
I like to hear the process.
Yeah,
where he's literally saying yada yada yada. I'm going to cut this out.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be edited. Yeah, exactly. So definitely listening to our Christmas episode that drops tomorrow. That'll be the last kind of like Christmas episode. Then we will do our lumps of coal episode, which we do at the end of every year. And I am one right now that is tired of reading on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, that we're not allowed to talk about a bad movie and call it bad. Like, you can call a bad movie bad. There's this whole thing like critics are...
Does that mean we're going to get the bad movie category back for the Deuces?
No, we're not going to go that far, but we're going to talk about our lumps of coals. We always talk about our lumps of coals because for me, there's definitely some bad movies that I watched that are 2023 releases, and I'm not going to shy away from calling them lumps of coal. No, we're not going to. I'm sure Dave wants that back, but no, we're not going to add. We've got too many other categories.
What's the petition website? Change.org. I'm going to start a change.
You're going to start us change.org for the Deuces to bring that category back. Well, maybe that'll work. Maybe if you can get enough votes, you can just do a poll on the Deuce Court.
Yeah.
Which, hey, look, if you happen to listen to the podcast or watch this show, the Deucecourt is a fun place to hang out. It's our Discord server. If you want to DM me, either at the Deucecast on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, I might send you a link if I feel like you are a definite listener or watcher of the show. But as with all YouTube shows, it would help us out a lot if you would share this, like this, all that, subscribe.
I've got the question.
Yes.
In the comments.
Okay.
Put your favorite Greek god.
Oh, yeah. In preparation for Percy Jackson. What is your favorite? That's right. You're supposed to do that on YouTube. I need to get better with that. You're supposed to ask a question for the commenters. What's your favorite Greek god? And we'll look at the comments.
Our answer's coming next week.
Our answer's coming up next week. And then we'll read your comments live on YouTube, and you can tell us what your favorite Greek gods are. So there we go. I really appreciate everybody that hung out tonight in the chat. Brian was there for a second. Andrew was there for a second. Garrison was even there for a second. So again, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, first of all. Spend time with family. Try and stay well. Drink lots of orange juice and try and avoid all this nasty sickness that's going around. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you next week for Percy Jackson and What If.